The cultivators left after countless battles are few. Most of them are at the foundation establishment or core formation stages, and the sects have often fallen into disrepair. It is autumn. The wind blows across the land, swirling the yellowed leaves, which dance and flutter through the air. In the midst of a range of mountains, there lies a secluded valley. The valley is full of autumn orchids, a type of flower that blooms only in autumn. Its fragrance is faint, and in the autumn breeze, it carries a sense of melancholy. Each autumn, the orchids in this valley bloom beautifully, but their lifespan is short. As the cold of winter arrives, all the flowers wither, only to be covered by snow until they are hidden beneath the blanket of the harsh winter. They will wait for the next autumn breeze to awaken them again. At this moment, it is not yet late autumn, but the orchids in the valley are blossoming, offering their last beauty of the year. Deep within the orchid grove stands a humble dwelling. The house is old, clearly having stood for many years, perhaps once home to a scholar from centuries ago, who passed away amidst the orchids. Now, an old man sits outside the house. He wears a green robe, his face covered in wrinkles, and he gazes silently at the orchids, his eyes filled with sorrow. A gust of autumn wind blows through the valley, causing the orchids to sway. The wind also touches the old man's clothes, making them rustle and lifting a few strands of his silver hair. A few dry, yellow leaves float silently through the air, one drifting past the old man's eyes, momentarily blocking his gaze from the orchids. The old man sighs softly and looks up, suddenly overcome by a violent cough. After a long while, it subsides. His face flushes with an unusual redness as he watches the leaves blown by the wind, his expression filled with reluctance. Autumn has arrived. These orchids don't have much time left. Before long, they will wither and die. But next year, at this time, they will bloom again, while I will no longer be here to watch them. The old man shakes his head and raises his hand, looking at his palm, where a strange mark lies, resembling an orchid, emanating a faint glow. Over the years, these 3 seals have been completed. This is the last thing I did for my master. The old man murmurs. On this day next year, where will I be? I don't want reincarnation. I just want to close my eyes and never wake again. Master, have you come? The old man raises his head, speaking softly. I know you've come. The old man doesn't turn around. He remains seated, murmuring bitterly. The autumn wind, which had blown from outside the valley, suddenly stirs again, carrying the leaves into the air, sending them toward the sky. The wind continues to move over the valley and eventually fades into the distance. But though the autumn wind leaves, it carries with it a figure who stays behind, standing behind the old man, looking ahead. It is unclear whether they are looking at the person or the orchids, which are blooming their final beauty. Perhaps it is the same for both. Wang Lin, dressed in white, stands there. The old man lowers his head, slowly stands, and turns to look at Wang Lin. His eyes reveal a mix of complexity and bitterness, which eventually turns to calm, with a hint of respect. After a long pause, he slowly kneels and speaks in a low voice. Disciple Xie greets my master. Wang Lin looks at Xie, a sharp pain stabbing through his heart, as if all the blood has been drained from him. He can see Xie current state. The 3rd soul of the rainbow, immortal venerable, is mine. But I am Xie, not him. Xie kneels, speaking softly. Why is it you? Wang Lin's face remains pale. Although he hasn't known Xie for long, in his heart, just like with the 13th, Xie is his disciple. Master, Xie lifts his head to look at Wang Lin, his eyes slowly becoming misty. After my memory began to awaken, I chose to escape, to struggle, to resist. I came here, looking at these orchids, thinking about my life. In the end, I understood that I am Xie. I am not Su Dao, the rainbow immortal venerable. A smile appears on Xie face as he murmurs. The 3rd soul of the rainbow immortal venerable holds all his memories. This is valuable to my master. I know that right now, the 1st soul, the 2nd soul, and the 4 great generals are all searching for me. Though the 4 great generals once served under the rainbow immortal venerable, over the years, they've changed their intentions. They are searching for the 3rd soul, each with their own agenda. No matter which one of them finds it, it will be devoured. Master, This is the fate of the rainbow immortal venerable, and mine as well. I cannot escape. Even if I reincarnate, it will be of no use. The third soul has evaded for so many years, but now it has reached the end. The third soul only holds memories, but has no powers or insights. Though the soul is strong, it has no ability to protect itself. Rather than let someone else devour it, I'd rather give it to Master. Xie mutters bitterly. Wang Lin stood in silence, his heart aching. Despite standing there, it felt as if he had stepped into a frozen wasteland, the bone-chilling cold spreading throughout his body, transforming into pain. Earlier, he had promised Qing Shui that he would kill the third soul to ensure her safety, but now, how could he fulfill those words? This wasn't a show of mercy. It was a choice to kill his own child. Memories of his encounters with Xie Qing flashed through Wang Lin's mind. Though buried in his memories, they felt as clear as if they had just happened, and he could not forget them. Wang Lin was deeply sentimental. Master, I am ready. If I do not die, once the remaining two souls merge, the 7 souls will automatically return to their places. Although I can feel that 5 of the souls have already completely separated, the remaining 2 souls will still reunite. I can sense that these 2 souls are of great importance to you, Master. If I do not die, the third soul will not emerge. If I do not die, they will die. If I do not die, the 3 souls of the 7 colors will reunite, and Master will die. Xie Qing looked at Wang Lin, his eyes shining brightly. Over the years, after the third soul awakened, I used my soul cultivation to seal it 3 times. The first seal requires no external force. I can activate it myself. Under this seal, if I die, the third soul will not enter the cycle of reincarnation, and Master can collect it. At that time, after my death, the third soul will completely awaken. It will open the core area of my cave mansion, push open the great door, and Master will be able to leave this cave mansion realm. The other 2 seals are prepared for you, Master. At the moment of opening the gate leading to the Immortal Ridge, with the power of the immortal aura from Immortal Firmament Continent flooding in, combined with these 2 seals, you can seal the second and third souls. Then, everything will be settled, Xie Qing said, suddenly coughing. He coughed so hard that blood sprayed from his mouth, staining the orchid in front of him, turning it red in a shocking sight. The loss of his soul energy had taken its toll. For the sake of these 3 seals, he had disregarded everything in the past few days. Wang Lin looked at Xie Qing, unable to speak a word. Listening to Xie Qing's words and watching him cough up blood, his heart grew even more painful. At this moment, he suddenly raised his head, staring at the sky with a ferocious expression, letting out a roar. I, Wang Lin, reclaimed my fate from the reincarnation heavenly tribulation. I became the master of the path of heaven. But why can't I still decide my own life? Why must I face such a choice? Sky? Whether it's the sky of this cave mansion realm or the sky of a mortal firmament continent. Are you watching? If the sky is so heartless, then I, Wang Lin, swear, I will destroy the heavens in this life. Veins bulged on Wang Lin's face as he seemed mad. In that moment of fury, an overwhelming aura erupted from his body. It rose like wisps of smoke into the air, quickly condensing into an illusory sword. This sword exuded an aura powerful enough to shatter space and destroy the heavens. In that moment, not far away, Grand Heavenly Venerable Xian Luo's expression changed drastically for the first time in this cave mansion realm. He stared at the illusory sword outside Wang Lin's body, which only he could see, his eyes wide with shock. Void Annihilation Aura. This is the aura of Void Annihilation. This child's vow. He can actually manifest the aura of Void Annihilation. Xie Qing gazed at Wang Lin, tears falling from his eyes. He kneeled and bowed his head. My soul has been severely depleted, and I've been waiting for you, Master. I hesitated, but now I do not regret it. No need for you to act. I am already on the verge of death. This is the last time I call out. Master. Xie Qing looked longingly at the orchid ahead, closed his eyes, and stopped the tears from flowing. A relieved smile appeared on his face as he exhaled his final breath. He died. In his final moment, from the 7 orifices of his body, wisps of invisible soul threads spread out. These soul threads contain the memories of the third soul from its cycles of reincarnation, including Xie Qing's entire life. At this moment, due to Xie Qing's seals, the third soul could not reincarnate. With his death, these memories quickly began to dissipate. Once fully gone, Xie Qing would disappear forever. This is not the end. Wang Lin suddenly lowered his head. A fiery rage burned within him, a rage directed at the heavens. His words were filled with fury as he stepped forward, approaching Xie Qing's side. With a wave of his right hand, the third soul, which had been leaking from Xie Qing's orifices, was suddenly grasped by Wang Lin. In that moment, the third soul completely awakened. The world trembled. The cultivation star let out a thunderous roar. The starry sky was pulled into chaos as the four great star domains trembled in unison. Even beyond the realms, an earth-shattering change occurred at this very instant. Across the entire outer realm, every inch of the starry sky, every bit of void, was the same. A pressure emanated from the distant inner realm, enveloping the entire cave mansion realm. Under this pressure, all the cultivators in the ancient stars of the outer realm began to tremble violently, completely bewildered, unaware of what was happening. Yet, the rumbling from the starry sky felt apocalyptic, imposing a tremendous weight on all who heard it. Under this pressure, a suffocating sensation seemed to settle over everyone. Countless ferocious beasts were no different. Regardless of how strong their cultivation was, at this moment, they all trembled. Some memories, long dissipated within their inheritances but still buried deep within their souls, began to resurface slowly in the minds of some beasts. These memories were filled with a fear of the heavens and the earth, passed down by their ancestors. They should never have resurfaced, but now they were unavoidable. With the violent changes across the ancient stars, the mist in the starry sky grew denser and denser, until, in the end, it nearly blocked all sight and vision, covering the entire outer realm sky. The mist arrived so suddenly that there was no time to react. At that moment, in a certain part of the ancient stars of the outer realm, the starry sky shook. Suddenly, massive fragments appeared out of thin air from all directions. These fragments looked like stones, rapidly coalescing into a huge stone slab. The slab was irregular, as though it was part of something that had collapsed. These fragments materialized from the void, formed from dust, and the immense stone slab exuded an ancient aura. As it solidified, it immediately howled through the air, heading straight for the inner realm. At this moment, in the ancient stars of the outer realm, the Palm Sovereign suddenly opened his eyes with a look of horror. He quickly rose and took a step forward, vanishing in an instant into the mist-filled starry sky. He stared into the distance, and the shock in his eyes was replaced by astonishment. The third soul has awakened. The core area of the cave mansion is reopening. The Palm Sovereign's face turned pale, but without hesitation, his body blurred and he sped towards the inner realm. At the same time, in various regions of the outer realm, several remaining immortal consorts, including one who had been familiar with Wang Lin at the ancient burial ground, all awakened from their meditation. They each turned to the starry sky with different expressions, some excited, some complex, and others filled with terror. The core area of the cave mansion has opened. Moments later, those immortal consorts transformed into streaks of light, speeding towards the inner realm. At the same time, in the four great star domains of the inner realm, in the Kungsu star domain and the area around the Vermilion Bird star, the surrounding area also rumbled incessantly, the mist swirling in all directions. At that moment, faint light flickered in the mist, and the starry sky around the Vermilion Bird star twisted, silently tearing open a massive rift. From that rift came a chilling aura, one that resembled the aura of the Outer Realms battlefield. Soon, fragments flew out rapidly, and in an instant, these fragments coalesced outside the Vermilion Bird star to form yet another massive stone slab. This stone slab resembled a small landmass, and once it appeared, it howled through the air towards Luotian. It wasn't only in Kungsu that this happened. In the other three star domains, similar fragments gathered and formed stone slabs. The number of these slabs was unclear, but they all headed straight for Luotian. As the stone slabs howled through space, in the Luotian star domain, the Rainbow Taoist, who had been searching for the third soul, changed his expression dramatically. His body trembled, and he raised his head, glaring ahead with a vicious expression, his eyes filled with boundless rage. The third soul has been found. The core of the cave mansion has been opened. Who? Who found the third soul first? The Rainbow Taoist seemed to go mad, stepping forward, heading straight towards the source. The four great generals, also in the Luotian star domain, witnessed the huge mist beast trembling before them, unwilling to move forward. Immediately, the rumbling of the starry sky and the mist appeared, and the aura of the cave mansion's core opening was clearly felt in every part of the starry sky. The four great generals' expressions changed dramatically. They could hardly believe it. They had thought their search was the fastest, but now they were shocked to discover someone had already found the third soul. The cave mansion has opened. Who found the third soul? Could it be that Rainbow Taoist? Without hesitation, the four of them rushed forward madly, heading for the place where the aura of the cave mansion's opening was strongest. But one figure moved faster than the four of them. Almost in the instant they moved, the figure transformed into a streak of light and shot past them. This figure was the War Ghost. At this moment, his face was extremely gloomy, a hidden terror in his eyes. If he had not found the third soul first, then if the Rainbow Taoist found it, what awaited him would be a tragic devouring and death. Unfortunately, with the current chaos in the cave mansion realm, even someone like him, dispersing his divine sense, cannot see very far, let alone determine who has obtained the third soul. It could be Wang Lin, or perhaps the Rainbow Taoist, but he has no idea who it really is. It is precisely this uncertainty that makes the feeling of fear even more intense. In this fear, he rushes forward madly, unable to choose escape. Even if the Rainbow Taoist has obtained the third soul, he must head there immediately, hoping to strike back fiercely while the opponent is still in the process of absorbing and digesting it. As the War Ghost moves forward, the long rainbow formed by his body is clearly visible, along with a massive ethereal figure. This figure wears a misty cloak that obscures its eyes, leaving only its chilling gaze exposed, with long silver hair swirling around. Its body is enormous, faintly covering a large section of the starry sky. This ethereal figure, appearing outside the War Ghost's body, is one of the three souls carried by the Rainbow Immortal Venerable, representing the realization of his understanding. At this very moment, with the unprecedented upheaval in the cave mansion realm, the realm trembles, and all beings are filled with unease. Meanwhile, this power has torn open the outer ancient immortal domain sealed by Wang Lin and the Li Guangbao, within the ancient stars beyond the galaxy. Although most of the outer ancient immortal domain has collapsed, remnants of the Seven Paths sect disciples remain. In an instant, as the domain is torn apart, these disciples surge forth, heading straight for Luotian without a second thought. And on the cultivation star in Zhao River, there is a woman, Purple Dawn of Zhao River, who is also one of the immortal consorts. She stands still for a moment, her silver teeth clenched, before stepping towards the starry sky. Amidst the vast changes sweeping through the entire cave mansion realm, as fragments of stones race toward Luotian, a group of people in the Kungsu star domain, led by Elder Ma, rise into the air after a brief moment of hesitation, silently heading toward Luotian. Yun Yifeng follows behind Elder Ma, gazing in the direction of Luotian, a strange glint flashing in his eyes. Wang Lin, our previous battle has yet to be decided. Perhaps in the cave mansion's core area, we can finally settle it. In the fierce rumbling of the cave mansion realm, with the mist rising like an ocean, if one observes from a higher vantage point, they would see that the entire realm has transformed into a sea of mist. Only the area around Luotian and Wang Lin remains clear, a guiding light amidst the chaos. At this moment, in the immortal realm, Qing Shui stands outside his residence, gazing at the murky sky. His heart is troubled by an incessant call, one that fills him with irritation. At the same time, Situ Nan awakens from his meditation, his expression dark. He stares ahead, lost in thought. Suddenly, an authoritative voice echoes in the minds of Qing Shui and Situ Nan. The voice belongs to Blue Dream Dao Sovereign. I promised Wang Lin that I would assist him. The strange place has opened, but I lack the immortal ascension bloodline to enter. I need to borrow your souls. Do you both agree? All around them, clouds and fog swirl, and shattered stone slabs from the cave mansion realm rush toward Luotian. At this moment, Wang Lin stands in the autumn orchid valley within the cultivation star of the Luotian star domain. His eyes reflect sorrow and fury as he watches his disciple, Xie call out his final master, with a smile, the 7 fatal words echoing in the air. He is enraged by the will of the heavens. If heaven does not respect my will, then I will destroy heaven and the void. Wang Lin lifts his head and looks at the dim sky. In his hand, he holds the third soul. The moment the third soul emerged from Xie body, Wang Lin felt a connection. He understands. The core area of the cave mansion has opened. He also knows that at this very moment, beings from all corners of the universe are rushing toward him. Their target is the third soul in his hands. But now, this soul in Wang Lin's grasp is no longer the rainbow immortal venerables, but that of his disciple, Xie. That was not the last call of master that you sought. I will not allow it. A cold light gleams in Wang Lin's eyes. He looks at the sky, suddenly bursting into a laughter full of malevolence. As long as I am here, you will one day be reborn, your memories restored. When you awaken, you will still be my disciple. Wang Lin closes his eyes. When he opens them again, the third soul is absorbed into his body. At that very instant, the darkened sky suddenly rumbles and churns. The mist in the starry sky thickens rapidly, roaring like furious waves. As the mist draws nearer, Wang Lin sees a massive stone slab, like a continent, hurtling out of the mist and floating in space. Simultaneously, a second stone slab roars out from the fog. The third slab, the fourth slab, the fifth slab. The outline was still incomplete, and its exact shape was unclear. However, the ancient aura and overwhelming pressure emanating from it caused Wang Lin's mind to roar with a single glance. He understood what it was. Though his heart stirred, his expression remained calm, without the slightest change. He simply stood there, silently watching. Soon, several more stone slabs howled out from the mist and joined the still incomplete outline. Gradually, as more stone slabs arrived, the outline began to take form. What appeared before Wang Lin's eyes was a massive door. This door was not the gateway to the immortal firmament continent, but the entrance to the core area of the cave mansion. Opening this door would allow one to step into the heart of the cave mansion. Though it was Wang Lin's first time seeing this door, it felt familiar. On one of the stone slabs that made up this door, Wang Lin sensed the aura of the battlefield outside the Vermilion Bird Star domain. He had once been there, and even expanded his divine sense, witnessing the earth-shattering scene when the door shattered. Now, the cave mansion gate that had been broken open by the heavenly Tao all those years ago was once again materializing, triggering a cataclysmic change across the entire cave mansion realm. The door stood tall in the starry sky, its size infinite. From a distance, it appeared magnificent. Although most of it was intact, there were still gaps and cracks where the pieces connected. However, in an instant, countless small fragments flew out of the surrounding mist. These fragments were part of the door that had scattered across the starry sky when it had collapsed. Now, as they reformed, they rapidly filled the cracks in the door. As the door became whole, an overwhelming aura erupted, shaking the entire starry sky. This aura transformed into a storm, directly billowing from the door. The storm howled, carrying an immense force that suddenly spread outward. In the distant starry sky, the mist twisted in the roar. As the mist thinned in this area, a flash of 7-colored light appeared. The rainbow Taoist stepped forward. His expression was grim. Upon appearing, he immediately saw the massive door and Wang Lin standing on the cultivation star beyond it. "So it's you." A killing intent flashed in the rainbow Taoist's eyes, and his heart eased slightly. Compared to the third soul falling into the hands of the war ghost, he preferred it to be Wang Lin. As long as it's not the war ghost, everything is still reversible. With a flick of his sleeve, the rainbow Taoist stepped forward, heading for the cultivation star outside the door. But just as he raised his foot, at that very moment, The storm from the door swept through with such force that the rainbow Taoist's body twisted in the wind and had to stop. His expression changed as he was pushed back, unable to move forward. At the same time, another figure emerged from the other direction. It was the war ghost. As he appeared, a roar echoed, and the surrounding mist exploded, retreating violently. The war ghost stood there, his gray hair billowing, his cloak swirling around him like a shadow. His eyes gleamed with a strange light as he stared intensely at the cultivation star beyond the door. As one of the three souls of the Rainbow Taoist, the war ghost was also relieved. But like the Rainbow Taoist, his expression soon turned cold, and an immense killing intent filled his heart. It's him. Even if he has the heavenly Tao, now that he's obtained the third soul, he's doomed. He's seeking his own death. Under the blurred shadow, the war ghost's expression twisted into a snarl. He clenched his right fist tightly, but didn't charge forward immediately. Instead, he swung his sleeve, preparing to counter the storm's push. With a thunderous boom, the war ghost, along with his shadow, was pushed back, but his eyes gleamed brighter and brighter. Wang Lin, however, wasn't surprised by their appearance. With the third soul awakening and the core door of the cave mansion materializing, it was only natural that they would sense it. Without looking at the two figures retreating in the starry sky, Wang Lin lowered his gaze to the lifeless body of Xie Qing, still kneeling motionless. His sorrow deepened. You loved this valley's autumn orchid, so you shall rest here, with the autumn orchid by your side. I will awaken you one day, Wang Lin murmured, raising his right hand and pointing forward. Immediately, the valley rumbled, and the autumn orchid on the ground began to stir, slowly covering Xie Qing's body. Finally, he vanished from Wang Lin's sight, transformed into a mound of earth, covered with autumn orchids. With a soft sigh, Wang Lin plucked a handful of autumn orchids, gazing at them for a moment. Then, stepping forward, he left the valley and appeared beneath the celestial canopy. Taking another step, Wang Lin vanished from the celestial canopy, heading toward the starry sky. The lone autumn orchid, however, floated gently down from the heavens, swaying in the wind but never changing direction, and slowly landed on the mound in the valley. The autumn orchid was beautiful, seeming to embody vibrant vitality. After it fell, it suddenly emitted bursts of faint light, and under that light, the single autumn orchid transformed into a pile of shattered fragments. At that moment, the wind blew, and the fragments were carried away, scattering across the earth outside the valley. From that day forward, every autumn, this nameless cultivation star would be covered in autumn orchids, their fragrance spreading, accompanying the eternal slumber of Xie Qing. In the starry sky, outside the gate, a storm howled, its internal force preventing anyone other than Wang Lin from entering. Within this storm, Wang Lin felt no danger at all. This storm had erupted when the gate reformed. The gate was triggered by the awakening of the third soul, which resided within Wang Lin's body. Therefore, in this storm, only Wang Lin remained unaffected. Before him stood the gate, behind him the cultivation star. In his eyes, apart from the gate, there were also the Rainbow Taoist and the Battle Ghost. Wang Lin, give me the third soul, and I promise the safety of you and everyone in the immortal realm. I can also open the gate of immortal ascension and let you go to the immortal firmament continent. The Battle Ghost, resisting the storm, clearly sensed the existence of the third soul within Wang Lin's body upon his appearance. He immediately sent out his voice. Wang Lin, if you give me the third soul, I will resurrect your wife. The path of heaven will not compete with you. I do not need the cave abode realm either. It is all yours. I only want the third soul. After you give it to me, I will leave this place forever and never return. What do you think? The Rainbow Taoist's gaze flashed, followed by a grim voice. His words carried more temptation than the Battle Ghost's. If not for the fact that this involved Xie Qing, Qing Shui, and Situ Nan, Wang Lin would have been moved. However, at this moment, Wang Lin seemed to have not heard them. He stood outside the gate, his eyes slowly closing as if waiting for something. Wang Lin's actions immediately caused the Battle Ghost and Rainbow Taoist to exude intense killing intent. But within the storm, they could not advance. Still, they understood that this storm would eventually dissipate. Not long after, from the other side of the gate, a rumbling sound erupted. The fog in that area swirled as the four great generals appeared. Upon their appearance, they were immediately pushed back by the storm's force, retreating until they solidified their stance, their expressions immediately changing. They instantly saw that the third soul had been taken by Wang Lin. Moreover, they saw that Wang Lin was surrounded by the Rainbow Taoist and the Battle Ghost, clearly with no way out. The arrival of the four great generals did not cause Wang Lin to react in the slightest. He continued to stand there with his eyes closed, his expression calm. A moment later, the howling intensified as the figure of the Palm Sovereign appeared outside the gate. His body kept retreating, moving toward the Rainbow Taoist, his gaze fixed on Wang Lin, revealing uncertainty. Not long after the Palm Sovereign arrived, under the storm's violent force, a long rainbow broke through the mist, turning into several women. These women were all beautiful, and they were the immortal consorts from the outer realm. One of the women, seeing Wang Lin, wore a complex expression. She was the third consort, who had interacted with Wang Lin in the ancient burial ground. Along with these immortal consorts appeared disciples from the Seven Paths sect, walking out from the ancient immortal domain beyond the boundary. They surrounded Wang Lin, their gazes fixed on him. Soon after, the immortal consort Zi Xia, from Zhao River, stepped through the mist, appearing outside the gate. Her gaze swept over, eventually landing on Wang Lin, surrounded by everyone. A hint of killing intent flashed in her eyes. She had harbored resentment toward Wang Lin for rejecting her alliance years ago. If she had been confident of defeating him, she would have struck long ago. Seeing Wang Lin surrounded now, a cold smile appeared in her heart. A moment later, with the howling of the storm, a blue light flashed as the figure of the Blue Dream Tao Sovereign slowly emerged. There was something different about him, and the moment he appeared, both the Rainbow Taoist and the Battle Ghost immediately turned their attention to him. The Blue Dream Tao Sovereign's expression was calm as he stood there, ignoring the gazes of the Rainbow Taoist and the Battle Ghost. Finally, a group led by Elder Ma from the Five Element Star appeared. Their arrival caused everyone present to feel a jolt in their spirits. As they looked at Wang Lin, who stood by the gate, his eyes slowly opened. His expression remained unchanged, and as his eyes opened and closed, no one paid attention to the Five Element Star group anymore. All eyes focused on Wang Lin. Everyone present had deep cultivation, and the weight of their gaze could easily overwhelm the unprepared. But Wang Lin remained unshaken. He calmly swept his gaze over the crowd. Everyone who needed to come has arrived. What you want is nothing more than this soul. Wang Lin raised his right hand, and in his palm, the third soul flickered with a faint light. This is a hunt. Whether you are the hunter or I am. Kill me, and you may obtain the third soul. But those who enter must be prepared to be killed by me. You possess the immortal ascension bloodline, and you believe yourselves to be immortal. But in this hunt, it's either you die or I live. As for the immortals of the immortal firmament continent, I haven't killed many of you yet. I hope you can become one of them. Now, the brutal game of this hunt begins. Wang Lin's voice was calm, yet it carried a sharp, chilling aura. He glanced around at everyone once more, a cold smile slowly creeping across his lips. His right hand, under the intense focus of everyone's gaze, suddenly clenched tightly. The third soul within him merged into his body and disappeared into the palm of his hand. In that moment, Wang Lin swung his right hand toward the great door and suddenly flicked his sleeve. Cave Mansion Gate, open. Whoever possesses the third soul can open the Cave Mansion Gate, and among those present, only Wang Lin could do this. He was not worried about the murderous intent of the surrounding cultivators, nor did he plan to leave here. He was heading to the core of this cave mansion, where he would carry out his final, frenzied slaughter in this realm, in this boundless era, his last desperate killing spree. In this hunt, Wang Lin would stop at nothing. With a flick of his sleeve, a thunderous roar echoed throughout the cave mansion realm as the gate suddenly split down the middle, a straight crack appearing across its center, dividing it into two halves. The booming sound reverberated, spreading across the entire realm, and the door slowly began to move, as if an invisible pair of hands was pushing the two massive doors inward with a great force. As the door opened slowly, the storm grew fiercer, and from within the partially opened door came faint, endless wails, filling the air. The sound struck deep into the heart, sending shivers down the spine. This door, since its collapse, had not been opened until now. The roar intensified, shaking everyone's ears, causing them to retreat in unison. Even the Rainbow Taoist and the War Ghost had to step back as the door opened. Only Wang Lin stood outside the door, motionless. At this moment, the door had opened nearly 100 meters, but it was still only a third of the way open. Wang Lin, with his cold smile, took a step forward. Under the gaze of everyone, he stepped into the massive door just as he was about to enter. He glanced around, his eyes lingering briefly on the Rainbow Taoist and the War Ghost. "I'll be waiting for you inside." Wang Lin's voice echoed as his body flickered and vanished into the half-open door. As his figure disappeared, the storm raged even more fiercely, with a deafening roar that made the wind reach its peak, forcing everyone to retreat again. Seeking death, the Rainbow Taoist's eyes burned with murderous intent, and as he retreated, he had already made up his mind to kill Wang Lin. The War Ghost, with a faint shadow of himself outside his body, stared coldly at the disappearing door. A glint of cold light flashed. Neither of them took Wang Lin's words seriously, but the rest of the people felt a chill in their hearts, especially the four great generals and the immortal consorts, who fell silent as they retreated. Time passed slowly, and half an hour after Wang Lin entered the great door, it finally opened completely with a deafening sound. The moment it opened, the storm immediately surged outward, forcing everyone to retreat thousands of meters. But just at that moment, the storm suddenly dissipated. As if it had never existed, the storm vanished in an instant, leaving no resistance around the door, fully exposing it to everyone's sight. The Rainbow Taoist was the first to charge forward. In the blink of an eye, he appeared next to the door, and with a flash of dazzling seven-colored light, he stepped inside. Following him was the War Ghost, who would never allow the Rainbow Taoist to gain the third soul. Almost simultaneously with the Rainbow Taoist, he disappeared into the door. The third to enter was the Palm Sovereign. His figure turned into a blur as he swiftly approached the door. After a brief hesitation, he gritted his teeth and stepped inside. Next was Blue Dream Tao Sovereign, who remained calm throughout. With a gentle sigh, he slowly walked up to the door and entered. After a brief moment of stillness, the others outside seemed to have made their choice, and one by one, they stepped inside, each with their own purpose. However, most of them did not believe that Wang Lin could hold onto the third soul. Once inside the core of the cave mansion, there was a high possibility that a new seven-color soul would emerge between the Rainbow Taoist and the War Ghost. They were leaving this place, and now, after countless years, they had returned, like a cycle, like a point of origin. As most of the cultivators entered the cave mansion gate, the last to enter were the group, led by the elder from the five-element star, Elder Ma. With a heavy sigh, they stepped inside one by one, until everyone had completely disappeared into the gate. Xian Luo's figure slowly emerged from the void. He gazed at the gate, paused for a moment in contemplation, and then calmly walked in. This one's trial should come to an end here. The starry sky of the cave mansion realm remained shrouded in thick mist, faintly visible. However, the rumbling sound that echoed across the realm gradually weakened and eventually faded into silence. Here in Luotian, the gate to the cave mansion realm stood open, floating in the starry sky like an eternal presence, seemingly awaiting those qualified to enter. However, only those with the immortal Ascension bloodline could step into the gate. Others were unable to approach. To enter, one would need to resort to soul borrowing, just like the Blue Dream Tao Sovereign had. Among all the cultivators in the cave mansion realm, anyone who sensed this change fell silent, awaiting the first person to emerge from the gate. Whether from within or outside the realm, all remained still. Those who were privy to the secrets, such as Qing Shui and Situ Nan, remained quiet in the immortal realm, paying attention to what was unfolding. They understood that the first person to emerge from the gate would likely be the new Rainbow Immortal Venerable. If it was Wang Lin, it would signify that everything had concluded perfectly. This event would determine the future of the entire cave mansion realm. It was a matter of life and death. In a sense, it was the fate of the cave mansion realm itself, whether it would remain as the domain of the new Rainbow Immortal Venerable, or whether a twist of fate would occur. But no matter what, The mortals of the cave mansion realm continued to live quietly in the dimming light of the sunrise and sunset, just as they always had. Inside the gate, before Wang Lin stood a blurry world, faintly visible as a ruin, bearing witness to a catastrophic battle that had occurred here long ago. Looking ahead, at the end of the ruin, there stood a massive cauldron, floating amidst black mist, enveloped by dark energy. The black mist spread out, seemingly connecting with the very fabric of this world. Wang Lin had the third soul, which had been sealed by Xie Qing and could not reincarnate. This third soul could be merged into his body, and through it, Wang Lin possessed an understanding of the core area of this cave mansion that no one else could compare to. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin's gaze toward the massive cauldron was filled with a trace of intensity. There lies the core of this cave mansion, and also the gateway to the immortal Ascension Gate. With a flash in his eyes, Wang Lin took a step forward, his body instantly transforming into a streak of light, racing ahead like a rainbow. Beneath his feet, amidst the ruins, it was still possible to discern that long ago, this place had been a paradise filled with birdsong and the fragrance of flowers. This was the true cave mansion of the Rainbow Immortal Venerable, and also the place where he once secluded himself for meditation. Or perhaps, this was the very heart of the entire cave mansion realm. But now, everything here had become a shattered wasteland, and a sense of desolation gradually welled up within Wang Lin's heart. This feeling, tinged with nostalgia, was not his own but came from the third soul. Proceeding in silence, Wang Lin passed over the ruins, where the formations had long since crumbled. No trace remained, but just as he had taken less than 1,000 steps, he suddenly halted. Looking down, his eyes gleamed with a strange light. Although the formations here have collapsed, some remnants still exist. With a little effort, they could be utilized to set up new formations. Wang Lin wasted no time. After scanning the area, he immediately formed hand seals, his eyes bloodshot in an instant. With his hand seals, invisible formations began to take shape amidst the ruins. Slowly, the vast expanse of ruins was illuminated by faint, ghostly light. After a stick of incense, the ghostly light flared up, enveloping Wang Lin's figure, rendering it blurry. His bloodshot eyes closed momentarily, and when they opened again, the blood vessels within his pupils manifested as spectral shadows before him. The bloodshot veins immediately expanded, growing larger and larger, and in the blink of an eye, they spread from around Wang Lin, completely covering the surrounding ruins. From a distance, this scene was terrifying. The veins had swollen to the thickness of arms, and their spread was horrifying to behold. Wang Lin's breathing quickened, and after a brief pause, he swept his arms outward. Without a sound, the bloodshot veins vanished without a trace. The formation had been completely set. The ghostly light on the ground gradually dissipated, returning to normal. Wang Lin turned to look back at the gate, a cold smile appearing on his lips. With a swift turn, he dashed toward the massive cauldron, which was shrouded in black mist. In an instant, he arrived and disappeared into it.